What's up? What's up? What up? Oh my God. All right. So I just saw this. I just saw this. You know what? I kind of like watching Destiny. His streams sometimes are cool. If you ever want to watch a stream and just look at the video with like minimum commentary, right? Watch Destiny. And his debates are pretty cool too, it's pretty good debates, they got like he always says like something I agree with sometimes. But I just think he fails on this question, like what is a woman? That's the easiest question ever. But I think he fails. The other guy's not doing pretty good either, but I think Destiny's it's like I think he just makes things overly complicated just so it can fit with what he believes. So what is a woman? Adult human female. But let's see what he says here.
What is a woman? If you want to go into this subject.
That's a very, very, very complicated question. We can dance there for a bit if you want, but I promise you that this is going to be a really complicated discussion if you want.
Um, why is it all of a sudden super complicated? If I asked you that question 10 years ago, you would have been like, it would have been very easy to answer that question.
Really? Okay, I'm so curious. Give me the easy answer for what is a woman.
Well,
An
human
adult
female.
human female.
You can't use the word in and of itself. What do you mean?
I didn't use
What do you mean the word in and of itself? Adult human female. You're not using the word in and what? That's so stupid. Like that's the dumbest thing ever. And you say uh woman is a adult woman. He said adult human female.
the word woman in the definition. I said female. An
What is
adult.
a okay? What is a female?
If female is someone that has female gametes, chromosomes, these
Yes.
characteristics that biologically make up what it means to be female.
Okay. Do you
Yes.
think that the way that we identify
Someone a female is someone who is typically known to like produce offspring. That's basically it. That's basically it.
people socially has to do with the gametes or their reproductive organs?
When we're speaking biologically, yeah, sure.
Okay. How often are you speaking biologically about other people that you see?
When and how often? Well, it happens. It happens every single time a woman's pregnant. She gets an ultrasound, and the doctor says,
Okay.
"Congratulations, you're
So
having a
I'm
boy. You're
assuming we're
having a
not
girl."
knocking up every single woman we pass by an aisle in Walmart or Target, okay?
See, that's where it is. It's like he's like, oh well, he can't tell if it's a female if you don't like see her gametes when you're passing by her. That's not how we. That's not how we look at anything. How you know it's a dog? Did you look at its chromosome? Did you see its makeup to know that it's a fucking dog? No, that's stupid. That's the dumbest thing you can ever say.
It seems to me that we identify people as man or woman, okay, at least in the gender
Mm,
sense, without ever
mm,
looking at somebody's gametes, grabbing somebody's dick or vagina, or seeing if they're pregnant or not.
mm.
So
No,
it
we don't. Yeah.
feels like when we talk about like what is a man or what is a woman, those are very, 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 very complicated questions. And trying to
No, it's never been complicated until about 10
it
minutes
has
ago.
ontology is very complicated. For
Never
instance,
has been.
okay, if I were to ask you the question of like what is a table, you understand that you couldn't give me a concrete answer to that, right?
I,
It's not. And I hate when these dumbasses pull this up. Like these people think they're like I didn't me. I ain't go to college. I don't know what the fuck ontology means. I don't know what none of this shit means. But the I know you can't say, oh, it's just the same as saying what is a chair. It's not the fucking same because a woman has a specific definition to that woman. Adult. If it's not an adult, then it can't be a woman. Human, if it's not a human, it's not a woman. Female, if it's not a female, it's not a woman. It has to have all three of those things. It has to be an adult, human, female. Like we don't call like you if you say look at that woman and someone's pointing at a man, you're like what the fuck are you talking about? If you say look at that woman and you pointing at a dog, even if it's a female dog. It's not a human, even if it's adult human. I mean, even if it's a grown woman. I mean, fuck, now I'm messing my own damn self up. Even if it's a grown dog, a adult dog, or a fully matured female dog, a bitch. If it's hey, look at that, female dog is a bitch. Look at that. We even got a word for fucking dog. We got words for fucking animals too. Like we got words for what is it? A cow or a cow has a word for I don't know what it is. You got a bull is the male cow, and a heifer. I think it's a heifer. A heifer is a female cow, right? Like we got doe and we got buck. I don't know what a male dog would be. I don't know, but I know bitch is a female dog, right? So like we got words for all of them for the different species. Like we talking about.
I'm sure that like, or this, to the question, what is a chair? It's just, yes, there's going to be some like specifics, some outliers. You can be like, well, you can sit on like a.
Because a chair doesn't have a DNA profile. A chair doesn't have like certain chromosomes and shit. A chair is something like this. What I got is a desk. Can it be a table? Yes. You can call it a table. You can call it a desk. It's not the same with animals.
You can sit on a rock though, on a boulder. Is that a chair?
So if you can't even give me a concrete answer to what is a chair, and woman and man are incredibly complicated topics, it's going to be pretty hard in one sentence to say like, oh well, it's an adult human female, it's an adult human man. Like that's we don't make that type of identification when it comes to identifying somebody's gender ever. So it seems kind of weird to say like
we always have.
We always
no,
Bro,
only if you are literally in the hospital.
No, we don't. Not if you're literally in the hospital. If it looks like an adult human female, we call it an adult human female. And this whole thing comes back to the trans thing. Like they want to say, "Oh, what if a trans man looks like a woman? I mean, trans woman looks like a woman." I'm like, yeah, it looks like a woman. A trans man, a trans woman is just someone who wants to identify as an adult human female. That's just basic. A woman, adult human female. A trans woman, someone who wants to identify as an adult or wants to be perceived as adult human female, which is a woman. Easy, simple. Like I don't know why we gotta go to those like any other definitions. And woman, to me, a woman is just there to describe a human female. That's why we call it, adult human female. That's why we got names for all these other females. It's not because identifications not identification, but gender and all that bullshit. It's just because that's just science. Like, we're just like, oh, what do we call these human adult females? Let's just call them a woman. And I know it goes back to Wolfman and blah 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 and all that shit, but yeah.
My dude, you don't know. You're not looking at a person's gametes. You don't reach your fingers up and check for fucking ovaries on a person before you identify them as woman or male or woman or man. Do you?
No, I don't. But personally, right, in this country, right, we've always, up until about 10 years ago, known that gender and sex have always been aligned. Even when you're getting an ultrasound when you're pregnant, congratulations, you're having a boy or girl. They don't say congratulations, you're having a male or female. They've never said that shit.
What are boy or girl? Boy, it's like an adolescent or a non-adult human male. It's a boy. And even though we say that to dogs, we know it's not the same thing. Like, oh, who's a good boy? We only call dogs boys when we're like acquainted with the dog, so like we have some ties around the dog. Like if somebody say, look at that boy over there, you're not gonna be looking thinking, oh, let me see if I see a dog. You're gonna be like, oh, where's that human child?
You just pivoted to a whole other conversation topic. How? Because right now we're trying to figure out, like, do we think there's a concrete definition for what is a man or what is a woman?
Right, and there is an adult human female and an adult human male.
Okay, but those are almost tautological. A man is a male, a woman is a female. You're giving them like synonyms, right?
Correct. I mean, because the two are correlated.
Synonyms are not correlated. They're tautologically the same. Like,
no, these are correlated. A man is correlated with a male, an adult human male, and a woman is correlated with an adult human female.
Okay. I think definitionally it's just the same thing.
It's not, though.
What's the same thing?
Saying man is male and woman is female are like, it's like this.
You idiot. Male, it's a child, a male, like a little boy. And I'm using the other definition. It's a little male human, a man. No, you idiot. So it's not the same. You can't say that's a boy. This is a man. Boy, man. They're not the fucking same. What is this dude talking about?
Just using another word to say the same thing.
Right.
And this guy, that's why I said this guy messes up too, because he said right. He just let that slide. When if you say woman and girl, they're two different things. If you say both of them are females, that's the same thing. Both of them are females, but both it's not like that little girl isn't a woman. That little girl is a girl. That one's a woman. We have girl, teenage girl. No, we just got girl and woman. Yeah. Even though sometimes we use like it doesn't really matter sometimes, but yeah, we know what we're talking.
Because it's always been the same thing. It's the progressive movement that's like, no, it's actually this super hyper complex. You have to separate. Never been like that. Never up until 10 minutes ago. It's never been complex.
Okay. So now it sounds like you want to get into like, is there like a gender sex distinction? Do you want to have that conversation, or do you want to talk about whether you can concretely define what is a woman?
I've already concretely defined what it is to be a woman.
Okay. Because it sounds like right now what you're hitting on more is the idea that is there like a distinction between gender and sex?
I'm waiting for Destiny to say what he thinks a woman is. What is Destiny's definition of a woman?
Sure, we can go into that.
Well, when you talk about like when they're pregnant and you have like a baby boy or a baby girl, that sounds like you're hitting on like a gender sex distinction. Okay,
yeah, so because a baby boy means male, it's a male, and baby girl is female.
Okay. So do you think that in your mind, well, I guess here's a question. How do you account for like trans people? What do you think is going on there?
I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. Trans people are people who want to identify as either adult human female or adult human male. They are not that, but they want to be seen as that.
That's a very vague question. What do you mean? What do I think is going on there?
So how can it, what's going on in the brain of a trans person, like a trans female? So a biological male that feels like their gender is female. What's going on there? Just explain, talk me through it.
A biological male that thinks that they're female?
Yeah.
That's the question? Okay. I think that there's gender dysphoria there.
Yeah, but arising from what?
I don't know.
Well, it feels like if you're defining gender and sex as the same thing, then is it a delusion or what? Like I'm just trying to figure out like where your head is on.
Well, all the evidence is kind of pointing towards it being a mental illness, gender dysphoria.
Okay, well, I'm not talking specifically about gender dysphoria. I'm talking specifically about somebody being a trans woman or a trans man.
Exactly someone that feels that.
To me, it's just somebody who, I don't know, because it's like, to me, it's like they're messed up in the head. Like they probably do got their wires crossed somewhere up there. It might be because, maybe they're like, a little more estrogen than testosterone and that's the thing. Like, what if you can just like, if a dude wants to become a chick, if he feels like that, what if you just pump him full of testosterone and then boom, he's good. Like it seems like all the things we have to deal with trans people is just like, yes, you are trans. Like, how about you try to get them out of the mindset first, and if that doesn't work, just then you can transition them.
That their gender is not aligned with their sex.
Yeah.
Gender dysphoria.
No. So gender no. Gender dysphoria is the name given to the intense oh god, fuck, what am I looking for?
I can't even think of that word.
Discomfort?
Yeah. Gender dysphoria is the name given to the intense discomfort that somebody feels with the incongruity between their sex and gender. That's gender dysphoria. So if you think that gender dysphoria is a thing, then it sounds like you're already saying that gender and sex are two different things. So I'm trying to figure out like where I don't know where you're at on this right now.
Well, okay, so let's go with that, right? So you think that people, once they first have this misalignment with their gender and sex, you think that that's not a discomfort? You think that just feels totally normal and natural?
I'm trying to evaluate your sentences. You just said a difference between their gender and sex. So do you think that there is a difference between gender and sex now, or do you not? Or do you think they're the same thing?
You should just say, yes, there's a difference, but between gender and sex. A gender is what we use to describe the sex. Okay, we use it to describe a certain species sex, right? So in a specific time, right? So the gender would be adult, human, female. That's what we're using. That's the word that we're using to describe that thing, right? But sex is just the thing, the like the gametes and all that shit. That's what sex is. Gender is what we use to describe that thing when it reaches a certain point in time in life. Boom. There you go.
I don't know what
I
you
think
think.
they're, yeah, I think that they're two peas in the same pod. A man's a male, a woman's a female.
Okay, then how can somebody have a difference between gender and sex in your brain if those two things are the same thing?
No, because you didn't. In your question, you said a
It's just like how we describe some stars, right? Like a dwarf star, uh, fucking bigger stuff. I forgot. It's like how we describe some stars or some shit. Like how we describe anything when it's at like its infancy and then when it gets bigger. It's like that. It's just the same thing.
someone that's a biological male that feels as though that they're a female. You didn't say that feels that they're a woman. So
Well,
I'm
but
answering that
obviously,
question.
well, hold on. That's obviously what that means. A trans woman can look down and see she has a dick. She knows it's not a
Right.
vagina, right? So
Yeah.
obviously, there's a different distinction there than just the sex of the person, right?
Yeah, well, so a male can look down and see that they have a penis, correct?
Well, a trans woman. I'm trying to ask, how do you
Yeah.
account for this?
Yeah, a male, in other words. But a trans woman is just another way of saying male.
Okay, what's the difference between a trans woman and a cis male?
The difference between a trans woman and a normal guy. The fuck is a cis, yo? They try. Hey, they always say, "Oh, don't misgender me, don't label me, blah blah blah." The difference between a trans woman and a regular dude is the regular dude doesn't want to identify as a woman. That's it, basically.
A trans woman and a cis male
Yeah.
they're both male. Just one
I
has gender
understand they
dysphoria.
both are. So when I ask for
Right.
difference, I'm trying to find out what
telling you.
what is included in A that is not included in B, or what's the
And he thinks that doesn't he think this is a fucking gotcha or something? The difference is it's just like, what's the difference between uh, a regular male and a male with schizophrenia? One of them doesn't have schizophrenia. Like, what are you talking about? You're like, that's not the gotcha you think it is. Like, what are you talking about?
difference? You keep
Right,
telling me the
so-
way they're the same. I understand the ways they're the same. I'm trying to ask, what is the difference? Contrast.
Well, biologically, there's no difference. However, one has gender dysphoria, one does not.
What is gender dysphoria?
When you feel that your gender is not aligned with your sex, and then you said, "Well,
What
no,
is
it's
your
a
gender
strong
and
dys-
sex there, though? Why are you using gender and sex? How can your gender be unaligned with your sex if you're telling me gender and sex are the same thing? When you
I
say
didn't make, yeah.
when you say their gender is not aligned, what is their gender?
That's the definition per the DSM-5. You asked me to define gender dysphoria.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure psychologists recognize a distinction between sex and gender that it seems like you don't recognize. I don't know
So
why you're
what's
giving.
so to make that distinction for me?
Well, no, I'm
Let's-
asking
let's
you.
go.
I don't know I don't know what you think about this at all. I have no idea.
But I'm not. Then lay out the distinction for me. I'm saying that it's one and the same. If you're saying I'm wrong, then show me the difference between gender and sex.
So I guess in the weird progressive world that I occupy, it seems like gender is a set of social norms and expectations relating to one's like gender role in society.
Wrong. That has nothing to do with it. Nothing at all. Your gender role in society has nothing to do with it. Because, okay, if your gender roles flip or switch, or someone does what typically a woman would do they just automatically become a woman just because they doing a different gender role? That makes no sense.
A lot of these are highly
But let's see if he clarifies. I did jump the gun on that one.
correlated or even causally related to sex.
Gender role in society. So feminism has fought, right? I'm gonna connect these dots here in a second. Feminism has fought for women to essentially do all the same things that men could do. Historically in the United States. So would you say that feminist women that are wanting to work in more male-dominated industries and do more male-dominated things are men? Since that's the gender norm more closely associated with men. This is how the whole thing becomes totally disorganized and a mess.
Only if you're 3 IQ, okay? Do you think that
Really?
if I
Okay.
grow out my hair long, does that make me a female or a woman?
No.
But that's what you just fucking said. Like that's what Destiny just said. He said, "Oh, gender is just how you express yourself in social norm, the social society, blah blah blah." Right? So you're saying that would be your gender. If that's your fucking gender, then yes, according to your logic, that would make a woman a male, a man, because she's adhering to a different social norm than a woman typically would do.
Okay, correct. And you know that because you're not stupid. And you know that there's a whole load of things that make our gender presentations what they are. So I don't know why you would pretend that a woman changing one part of what she does, like working a more masculine job, all of a sudden erases all of the other gendered norms. I don't know why you
Okay.
just implied that.
What if she does none of the gender norms? None of them. What if she's just a, I don't want to say butch, just like a freaking guy's guy, you know? What if she just acts like a freaking man all the time? Like she's just like masculine as fuck. But she does not identify as a man. She's a straight woman who does all the things that a man would does. Would that make her a man at that point? According to his logic, it would.
So you're saying, and I'll just go with your definition so we can at least engage into some sort of discussion here. You're saying that gender is the norms more closely associated with that sex, right?
Gender are the norms more closely associated with that sex. I
Right.
guess sure it could be.
Okay. So I'm just for the sake of engaging with you, I'll use
Let me
that.
restate it. I guess I'll say this as clearly as I can, as I understand it. My understanding is that gender is like a social understanding of the norms that revolve around like generally male and female sex people. So
Okay.
male people tend to exhibit some characteristics, and we call these masculine or men, and then females tend to exhibit some sort of characteristics, and we call these feminine or woman. Generally
So what-
speaking.
Okay. So let's say you have.
That's what I'm talking about, bro. Like this is just so like it's like they make it complicated because they want it to fit their ideology, right? It's not like this makes any fucking sense at all. Gender, it's he just said gender is anything that goes to like I said before. So he said gender is anything that's like when people adhere to a certain gender norm that society sets forth and blah 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 whatever. All of those can switch on a dime. Like that would take out all the that would make all the like tomboys, the chicks that are tomboys. That just makes them men because they're just adhering to like societal norms of that man would do. So that just confuses the whole thing. Instead of just saying adult human female, adult human male, someone wants to be adult human female trans, someone who wants a adult human male trans male. Like it's simple. That is simple. Cut and dry. Stop the presses. That's it.
A masculine woman, is she now a trans man?
Not if she doesn't feel like she has an incongruent. Well, for me, I don't think that the incongruency has to do with just the presentation. I think that they actually feel like their brain is sexed differently than their body. Technically, if you're talking about a
So they
trans
feel that
person.
they're the other sex now. It's not just gender.
that their brain is, but not obviously not their genitalia.
No, I hear you. I'm trying to break this down. So you've defined gender. Okay, we've got that up on the board. Now I'm trying to understand what it means to be like. I'm trying to understand, I guess, the distinction between gender and sex. So then you already outlined what you think gender is. What about sex? How is that different?
Okay, are you a big computer guy?
I have an iPad with me.
Okay, you know how desktop computers can run Windows and like Macintoshes run like Mac OS?
Yep.
Okay. Generally, if I open a computer, and it's got Windows on it, I'll be like, oh, this is a PC. And then generally, if I open a computer and it's got like OS whatever on it, iOS 10 or I don't know what the fuck they call their operating systems, Leopard or whatever the fuck they back in the day, right? I'd be like, oh, this is like an iMac or this is a Macintosh, right? That's what we used to call it back in my day, okay? However, you could dual boot. You could put another OS on it, right? That is possible, right? I guess when I'm thinking of like gender and sex distinctions, sex means you have some collection of biological characteristics and they generally exhibit in these types of social ways. That's the gender. Not always, but generally.
Okay. Again, you're kind of like redefining gender. I want to know, what is sex, though?
Sex is, I would use the example that you gave earlier, is that generally speaking, there's a set of gametes associated with male and a set of gametes associated with female. A certain type of reproductive organs associated with male, a certain type of reproductive.
No, I don't think Destiny is a complete idiot, right? I think, and I know he's not like stupid, but I think right now with this whole gender thing, he believes something, right? He believes that this is all okay and this all makes sense. So he's like, every time he has these debates, he's trying to like, in the moment, trying to make it make sense. But it still doesn't make sense. It never will make sense. I think even if you like, even if we get to the like scientific point or tech technologically advanced to the level where we can like get men to have children, we still won't call them like woman. They still won't be women. They'll still be men, but they'll be men with a fucking operation, right? It's like if you see a chick with breast implants, she's not a. We call them unnatural. We call it she had plastic surgery. Are these natural? No, they're not. You know, they're plastic, right? So she doesn't have natural boobs. We still make that distinction, right? So we would make that distinction even if we get to that point technologically.
Organ associated
Okay.
with female.
Got it. So we agree about sex. 'Cause I've been called misogynistic for saying that female is someone with the reproductive organs and gametes and chromosomes of XX that make up female. And they're like, oh, you're just boiling women down or females down to their reproductive organs.
Well,
What
my
a
guess is
misogynist
because you
comment.
probably said this in the context of a trans discussion, is my guess. But I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, it was a trans discussion. But regardless, we have to define these terms so that we can engage in some sort of intellectual conversation. Otherwise, you're not going to go anywhere with anything. So then, I guess my final question, and we can kind of wrap this up, if you'd like, is I don't see a distinction between gender and sex. You're saying that the gender is the traditional norms.
I'm still wondering if Destiny's ever going to answer the question, what is a fucking woman, bro? I guarantee you he's not going to answer it. I guarantee you he's not going to answer it.
Associated with the sex, and I don't agree with that, but just for the sake of it, sure. So then trans means that they feel, right, that their gender is not aligned with their sex. Why is that?
So for my understanding right now is for trans people, I think that the problem with trans people is that their brain feels sex differently than their body, which is a different thing than gender identity or gender expression. But it's kind of hopping into trans issues. So a trans male would be somebody that was born in a female body. They have all the female gametes, all the female vaginas, all the female boobs, all the female everything, but their brain feels like they were supposed to be in a male body. It's different than just the gender aspect of my gender is male and my body is female. It's a different thing.
Okay, just because your brain feels something, that doesn't mean that you are that thing. I could feel like I'm Superman, but I don't actually have red laser beams shooting out of my eyes and I can't fly.
Yeah, and why wouldn't we just try to make the brain match the body instead of trying to make the body match the brain? We do all this chemical shit, like give everybody all these drugs to fix how their brain is, but for some reason we can't touch the fucking trans issues, right? Give motherfuckers the pills for schizophrenia, depression, pain, all this shit, but we can't just figure out what neurons or what synapses and send something. I'm not smart. aren't firing correctly and just try to block it or try to do something. Like we can't figure out that medicine is off limits, but we can just transition them.
Why?
Sure. So
So I'm
that's where
not
the scientific investigation has to happen, right? Can your
okay.
brain be sexed in a way different than your body, or is it a delusion?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, and has that been proven yet definitively?
No,
Definitively, no. We know
No.
not much
So
about that.
then
Yeah.
So then my question is, why are we giving children like puberty blockers? Why are we saying it's okay for people to like, is it not medical malpractice to like amputate someone's leg if they're going in on a schizophrenic episode saying that I want to amputate my leg, even if they're a consenting adult? That's medical malpractice, is it not?
No. So what you do
No.
is you would do research and you would try to figure out what are the most efficacious ways to treat some given condition, and then
how can you figure? Oh, see, that's so stupid. How can you figure out what's the most efficacious way to figure out these treatments and shit if the studies aren't done? You don't know. You don't know. There's not enough studies done at this moment for you to say, yes, this is the treatment that would help the best.
ideally you would follow the research and do whatever gives the best outcomes for side effects for the people that are afflicted.
But you
Okay, so
don't
you
know.
think that the current treatment plan for people that are experiencing gender dysphoria is to affirm them of this identity?
Absolutely not. I'm pretty against gender affirming care in the United States. I think we probably go a little bit too far with it. And other countries around the world
See? See? I tell you, I didn't watch this before, but I know Destiny always says like something that I agree with. Always says like at least one thing that I agree with.
seem to be agreeing with that.
So, okay, it's interesting. What would you say is the best treatment, or do you think there's not one as of yet?
Well, it seems like for some people, if you can accurately identify who is actually trans and who isn't just trans trending, then it
Right.
seems like some form of hormone therapy into potential surgeries later in life or whatever are probably the way to go.
But when you say someone that is actually trans, are you saying someone that actually has gender dysphoria? Or are you saying that that's not always one and the same?
As in, right now, the assumption that I'm running with is some people's brains seem to be sexed differently than their bodies, and those are trans people. And if you can figure out who those people actually are, then you would hopefully treat them as trans people. And that seems the
But the way it is now, you can't actually figure out if that's the case. There's no there's study that's showing that if you do it the opposite way, if you try to like make their mental state align with their body, then they'll be okay. It seems as though, like, even after all the gender affirming care, no, I ain't even gonna say it seems as though. I think their suicide, I keep saying think it seems as though, but their suicide rate stays the same or is higher. That's what I think. It is higher, right? Or it's the same.
only way to treat them so far seems to be bringing the body in line with the brain because we haven't found a way to change the brain.
Okay. Okay. That's your position.
Okay, guys, target.
Right. That was that. Like I said, he still didn't define what a woman is. Even though the video, the title is, what was, wasn't it Destiny defines woman? Destiny answers what is a woman, but he did not at all. But look at that, DGG Orbit, DGG World. That's his shit. So go check him out. He's cool. He's cool. He seems like a cool guy. He seems like a guy you'll have a beer with and talk some shit with. But